Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are fine and safely sitting at home. Welcome to our second class of physics. In the last class, we have learnt about some things. I hope you remember them. Let us quickly recap whatever we learnt on the last class. We learned about the definition of force. What is the definition? Force is a push or a pull which can cause movement in an object. The second thing that we discussed was the force can only act whenever there is an interaction between the two or more objects. The third and the most important topic we discussed was the effects of force. Whatever force produces on the other objects. So, what were the effects of force? Force can cause a stationary object to move. Force can stop or slow down a moving object. Force can increase or decrease the speed of a moving object. And it can also cause the shape and size of an object to change. This all we discussed on the last class. Now let us start today's class. In today's class we will learn about the types of force. Right? The various types of force, basically we divide force into two major types. The contact force and the non-contact force. But before that, let me make it clear that when we apply a force of push, we require something hard or rigid. For example, we are pushing a chair. When we want to push it away from us, we will use the back of the chair. Or if you want to push a trolley or a handcart, we will use the hard handle of them. So whenever we want to apply the force of push, we have to have something hard or rigid. But when we want to pull things, we can have anything which is rigid, or we can also have something flexible like a rope, like a belt, something which is soft, which is not very hard. So while pulling things, we can use any kind of a connector, the thing which connects us to the object. But when we are applying a force of push, we have to have something very hard or rigid so that the force of push can be applied. Right? Now, let us learn the types of forces now. For example, I'll give you an example. You are, riding a bicycle, right? When you are riding a bicycle, you are applying force on the handle of the bicycle, isn't it? So when you apply the force on the handles, your hand is in contact with the handles, isn't it? But when you see an apple falling to the ground, something is pulling it. Yes or no? Apple is not itself falling. Something is pulling it towards it. But can we see that force which is pulling it? While you could see that the hands are connected to the handle of the bicycle. But you cannot see what force is pulling down the apple. So there are two kinds of forces on the basis of this. What? Contact force and non-contact force. In the first case, when you are using your hands to push or pull things, using a connector of some kind, such kind of force is called a contact force, which requires some kind of contact between the two objects. The second type of force, where a contact cannot be seen. The force, how is it the force applied, is not apparent to us. It is not visible to us. There is no apparent contact between the two objects. But then also the force is applied. Such kind of, yes, forces are called non-contact forces. Right? Non-contact is also possible. The force can also be applied even when we cannot see the force being applied. So in today's lecture, we will only deal with the first topic, that is contact forces and its types. All right. So first of all, what is a contact force? A contact force is only possible when the two objects are touching each other. It is a type of force that is exerted only when the two objects touch each other. For example, you use a pen to write, you are touching the pen. You are driving a bicycle, you are pushing a handcart, you are pushing a pram of a child, whatever you are doing, but you are in the contact with the object. Right? Now, what are the various types of contact forces? They can be of two types: muscular or biological force, mechanical force, and frictional force. One at a time we will deal with all three of them. Muscular or biological force is exerted by the muscles of our bodies or the animals. Mechanical force is exerted by the machines, and frictional force comes into play when the two bodies tend to slide over each other. So now we will take them up in detail. First is the muscular force. What is muscular force? Muscular force is also called as a biological force. For example, when I am lifting up things, I'm lifting a bucket of water. You are using your legs to kick football. What are we doing? We are using our muscles to apply the force, right? The food that we eat gives us energy, and this energy helps us to apply muscular force. Whenever we use the muscles of our bodies to apply force, such force is termed as muscular force, right? Now, whenever we want more force to be applied, which is not possible for us to do, we use the muscular force from the animals, like a bullock cart, like a horse cart, like plowing of fields using the bullocks. In all these cases, the muscular force is applied by the animals. So muscular force is the force which can be applied by the muscles of the humans or by the muscles of the animals, right? Whenever we use our muscles to apply the force, that is also muscular force. Whenever the animals apply the force using their muscles, that is also a muscular force. These are the examples of the muscular forces. Look at these various examples given: bullock cart, horse cart, right? The two people pushing or pulling each other. These are the examples of the muscular forces. I hope you've understood. Now let us move on to the second type, that is the mechanical force. Now if we are not doing the work by our hands or by our legs, we are not even using the animals, but we are using some non-living things like machines, like you are driving a car, you are driving a motorbike. So what are you doing actually? You are using mechanical force there. Mechanics word comes from machines. So whenever the machines are used to apply the force, that is called as mechanical force. Now in this case, the energy that was provided to us by the food is provided to the machines by the fuels. You all know that machines run on fuels. So fuels can be of various types, like the oil such as petrol, diesel, petroleum, natural gas is also there, then coal, steam, wind energy. All these are the energies on which the mechanical force can be applied by the machines. So we have to put in the fuels in the machines so that the mechanical force can come into play. Now remember one thing, the this complex machines like the cars, like the vehicles, like so many other things, ships, then submarines, then your aeroplanes, all of them run on fuels, and so they are applying mechanical force. But what about the simple machines like a knife, like a hammer? All these are simple machines, they make our work easier. But remember, they are only running upon our muscular force. So there we will not say that mechanical force is applied by a hammer. Hammer cannot do anything on its own unless until we apply our muscular force and use it. So remember, simple machines use muscular force only, while complex machinery uses mechanical force. I hope this is understood. Now, third type of contact force is frictional force. What is friction? Friction is the force that opposes motion, right? It comes into play when a body tries to slide over another body. Then the friction comes into play in between these two objects. Frictional force is also a type of contact force, because if the two objects are not touching each other, for example, you are not walking on the ground, the bicycle is not running on the surface of the this ground or something, the frictional force cannot be applied. So friction can only act when the two objects are touching each other or they want to slide over each other, right? I hope all these three types of forces are clear to you all. These are three, this frictional force we will deal into detail when we are doing the next chapter. For now, you should remember that friction is the force that opposes motion. It does not want the bodies to move, right? The frictional force applied in the opposite direction to the motion. For example, you are trying to move from east to west, the frictional force will act from west to east, opposite direction. These are the three types of contact forces. I hope you've understood. There's an assignment for you. Please do this in your fair copies. We will also send you question answers at the end of the chapter so that you can tally your answers. I hope you understood today's class. Goodbye for now. Stay healthy, stay safe.